Hello Giants fans, and thank you for watching the Giants Alliance. Today, I'm going to go into detail about why I believe the Giants would regret passing on Isaiah Simmons in the first round of the 2020 NFL Draft. I think Isaiah Simmons is a special player that will be great in the NFL. Over 2 months ago, I wrote an article for gmenhq.com going into detail for why the Giants would regret passing on the playmaker out of Clemson. And that's what I call him. He's a playmaker. He's not a true linebacker. He can do a little bit of everything. He could line him up at deep half safety. You can make him guard tight ends out of the slot. He can blitz off the edge. He can blitz up the middle. He's excellent going sideline to sideline against running backs. He can do a little bit of everything, and he's the kind of player, the athletic sort of linebacker safety that the Giants have been missing the past few years. We did sign Blake Martinez, who's a very solid middle linebacker in the similar mold to Antonio Pierce, our Super Bowl winning linebacker from the 2007-2008 era Giants. But I just feel like the Giants have been missing that athleticism, that playmaking ability in the middle of their defense. And we haven't drafted a linebacker since Carl Banks back in 1984. So I think it is time again for the Giants to go back and rebuild our promising young defense, and Simmons would be the perfect player to do that. One of my favorite Twitter handles is NFL Film Review, and they do a great job breaking down the prospects for the NFL draft, and there is an excellent thread about Isaiah Simmons that really perfectly demonstrates why he would be the perfect player for the Giants. It shows how explosive he is coming off the edge. He is not only fast, because everyone knows he ran the 4.39 40-yard dash, but he's also extremely explosive. And you can see that in the tape against North Carolina when he literally just threw running back to the ground to get to the quarterback. He had 8 sacks in 2019, so he would help with the pass rush. I wouldn't call him a true edge player that would rush the quarterback on every third down, but if the Giants need a little pass rush help, he can definitely help in that regard. Another area where he would be extremely helpful to the Giants would be in covering those fast quarterbacks, especially with the read option and how prevalent it's becoming in the NFL. Isaiah Simmons, we do play Lamar Jackson this year in the 2020 season. So those kinds of quarterbacks always have been giving the Giants a lot of trouble throughout the years, like the Russell Wilsons, even the Carson Wentz and the Dak Prescotts when they scramble. The Giants have had a lot of troubles with those fast quarterbacks, but Isaiah Simmons as a spy would be the perfect player. There's not a player in the NFL, I believe, that would be better at kind of spying the quarterback and taking care of those read option plays. Because not only is he fast, but he has the excellent instincts to be the perfect quarterback spy. But there's so many different things he can do with his 4.39 speed. Besides getting after the quarterback, and besides blitzing, he has extremely fast closing speed. So the Giants struggled a lot last year against the run, especially when it was the outside runs, those teams like Arizona running those plays to the outside. We don't have the athleticism at the second level to kind of take care of those quick running backs. Simmons, I just feel like, would be the perfect antidote to our problems guarding the running backs out of the backfield, which is another weakness of ours. Chris Thompson over the years for Washington has done a really good job of getting open on third downs, and I think Simmons would be the perfect player to take care of those kinds of running backs, the James White type of running backs. Another thing is that Isaiah Simmons is not just an athlete. He has those football instincts that you look for, especially at a starting middle linebacker. He is extremely fast. You can see in the tape against Syracuse, the read option plays, he was able to, even if he bit a little bit on the handoff, he has the speed and athleticism to catch up to the quarterbacks and make the tackle with his long arms. That's something that really helps him, even on the runs up the middle, which some people would say is his only weakness, is adding a little more functional strength to his frame. But he does use those long arms to kind of fend off blockers and make plays. So against the run, like I said, his sideline to sideline speed is tremendous. He's a sure tackler, so you can feel comfortable leaving him at deep half safety. Against the run, he takes good angles to the ball, and as a deep half safety for Clemson, he was able to come up and make a tackle, and Clemson felt really comfortable doing that. And I think he can do that sometimes in the NFL. I wouldn't put him at deep half safety every single play, but I think that's something he can do, and that will add to the kind of the versatility of the Patrick Graham defense. Simmons also has the length to disrupt throwing lanes, so if you put him in at zone over the middle as sort of like a QB spy, watching those short throws over the middle, those slants, the quick West Coast offense sort of plays, Simmons can really disrupt that. And I think one thing that a lot of people don't really talk about enough is his ability to blitz, but also his ability to cover tight ends. And it might seem like a small thing to prioritize when you're making a top 5 pick, but this is something that's been killing the Giants over the years. The tight ends are getting more and more athletic. They're becoming more integral in the NFL. The two Super Bowl teams, Kansas City and San Francisco from last year, had the two best tight ends in the NFL. And in a copycat league, you can see teams featuring the tight end more and more. I can't think of a better player than Isaiah Simmons to guard the tight end. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, no, he's a linebacker. He cannot guard NFL wide receivers. But depending on the matchup, with his athleticism and his very impressive ability to stick in man-to-man defense, he will be able to guard some of those slot receivers in the NFL. And in Patrick Graham's multiple defense, that can help the Giants in so many ways. There's actually a play from the 2018 season that I want to show you against the Giants' Daniel Jones, where Isaiah Simmons lined up late on a slot receiver, implying man, quickly switched to zone, took away Daniel Jones' outlet route for the first down, then comes up and makes the tackle on the Giants quarterback. So I think Isaiah Simmons can do so many different things. If you just plug him in at middle linebacker in a 4-3 or a 3-4 defense and let him play like your typical linebacker, no, he would not be worth a top 5 pick. But the way I think the Giants will be able to use him, the way Patrick Graham plays his defense and moves his linebackers all over the formations, I think he can be the perfect sort of player for our defense and the kind of player we've been missing for so many years. We've been really lacking that sort of athleticism at the middle linebacker position. I am aware of the counter argument against picking Simmons with the first pick. We need an offensive tackle. The left tackle and the right tackle position need to be addressed. We do not have long-term solutions at either right or left tackle. So why would I pick Simmons over one of these offensive tackles? Well, I really do believe there is a lot of depth at the offensive tackle position in the 2020 draft. One of Dave Gettleman's strengths is finding those hidden gems along the offensive line, like Trey Turner or Darrell Williams when Gettleman was with the Carolina Panthers. Will Hernandez, who's been very solid, was a second-round pick a few years ago. So I think the Giants should pass on those top 4 offensive tackles because of Simmons. Even though I do think they can all be very good NFL players, I would not be mad if the Giants went with any of those offensive tackles. But I just think Simmons has the highest floor and also the highest upside. There have been a lot of busts at the offensive tackle position in the top 10 of the draft. For every Ryan Ramczyk, who was actually a late first-round pick a few years ago, there are players like Eric Flowers, who was a terrible Giants pick. There's players like Greg Robinson, who was a bust at number 2 overall for the Rams. So I don't think these offensive tackles are sure things like some people are making them out to be. And I really strongly believe there are some really good offensive tackles the Giants can target in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round. I like Isaiah Wilson, another Isaiah, but Isaiah Wilson, the right tackle out of Georgia, has New York roots. He's 350 pounds, very strong in the run game. He can really help Saquon get going on the right side. I think he'll definitely fall possibly to number 36. Another tackle prospect, a right tackle prospect I like is Lucas Niang out of TCU. He does have some injury issues, but I do believe he has the highest upside at that second tier of the tackle position. He was able to handle himself really well in one of his 2018 games against Chase Young, and Bosa was on that team as well. So those are the players that I think that we should target in the second round. Even in the third round, Ben Bartch is someone I highlighted in one of my columns at gmenhq.com, and I have some really high hopes for him. He's a small school guy, but he really impressed at the Senior Bowl. Someone towards the end of the draft that I really like for offensive tackle will be Charlie Heck, who played left tackle last year for North Carolina. He was very solid. He's 6'8". He has the length that you would want, but he can really move his feet. He can even switch over to right tackle where he has experience. His father is the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line coach, so he has that pedigree. His father also played in the NFL, a very successful player in the NFL at that. So I do think Gettleman, if there's one thing I trust him to do, it's to find those gems towards the end of the draft, like he showed he can do last year. And this offensive tackle draft class is really deep. So I do believe the Giants should be passing on these top 4 offensive tackles because of Isaiah Simmons. If we can trade back and still get Simmons, that's my best case scenario. If we pass on Simmons and go offensive tackle, I will not be upset. I will not be mad. I would prefer the Giants to trade back though, because there are 4 offensive tackles that are all very similar in caliber of player. I think if we can get one of those second round picks, there's been a lot of talk about teams trying to trade back into the range of 30 to 40 in the second round of this draft. It is really strong. Some people think you could get the same type of player at number 20 overall that you could get at number 40 overall. So if we can get more players in the second round, I think that can really help us in our rebuild. Before we go, I want to talk about one play that perfectly encapsulates why Isaiah Simmons should be a New York Giant and why I think he's such a special player. And it happened during the 2019 semifinal game against Ohio State. Clemson ended up coming back and winning that game. But at the end, the most pivotal play of the game was made by Isaiah Simmons. Isaiah Simmons on this play was lined up at deep half safety. He was actually on the opposite hash mark over on the left side of the field. Justin Fields saw an opening down the right sideline, but Isaiah Simmons, using his excellent football instincts, ran over all the way across the field and made the interception. So it's been such a long time since a Giant has been able to consistently make plays in pivotal moments on the defensive side. So I just think Isaiah Simmons has that special instinct, that special football awareness, similar to Derwin James. Derwin James, when he came over to this Chargers in 2018, really helped that defense turn it around. Last year, when he went through some injuries, you saw the big difference it made on the defense. So I think the safety position is very much undervalued in the NFL. And not only is Isaiah Simmons a safety in the similar mold to Derwin James, but he's 239 pounds at a 4.39 40-yard dash. He shows excellent football awareness. There's so many things I think Patrick Graham and his multiple defense can do with him. And that's why I believe Isaiah Simmons should be the Giants' pick in the first round of the 2020 NFL Draft. I want to thank you guys for watching the episode of Giants Alliance. I had a lot of fun. Go over to my G-Men HQ columns and take a read. There's a lot of great work on there. Also, check out my Twitter. My Twitter handle is now @Giants Alliance. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day, Giants fans.